Welcome. I'm Doug Morgan, and you're listening to Uncommon Sense, where we hunt for the truth in the topics you're not supposed to talk about, Christianity and politics. And we're back for our Friday edition of the podcast, which, of course, every week is FOMO Friday. We don't want you to have that fear of missing out. So we bring you the stories of the week that you should know a little bit about, and we have some stories for you today. I want to get right into it. In fact, our first story here from a series of articles from the Daily Wire comes this very first one. Graham Platner, he's the scandal-filled Maine leftist who came under fire over the Nazi tattoo and faces allegations of rape and sexual assault, suspended his Senate campaign on Wednesday. Yeah, after Democrats mounted a pressure campaign to force him out of the race, that's what he finally decided to do. Now, he announced his decision in a 11-minute video released on social media. Platner announced that he was ending his candidacy and would leave the process of selecting a new nominee to party leaders, despite having won the nomination decisively in the primaries. So, yeah, he's out, and the party's going to pull a Biden, it looks like. Quote, "We believe that for the movement to continue, it can't put me," is what Platner said, and it can't be me, sorry. "And for that reason, we are suspending campaign operations. I have faced some very serious allegations, and I just want to make it clear this is all false. The things that have been claimed did not happen, and it's not real." So, I mean, if it's not, why are you bowing out? Anyway, he said that he is prepared to file the paperwork to formally withdraw from the race. And it marks a stunning fall from grace for the Bernie Sanders-backed oyster farmer, as he liked to call himself, who leaned on a working-class populist message to catapult himself onto the national political stage and buck his party's unpopular establishment wing. Now, last July, two Bernie Sanders-aligned political operatives hunted for a Democrat to challenge Collins, and ultimately landing on and recruiting Platner. And his rapid rise dealt a major blow to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who had recruited Janet Mills and the current Democratic governor of Maine. But Platner's exit upends a key Senate race and throws a wrench into the Democrats' efforts to regain control of the Senate in November. Democrats nationwide had urged Platner to drop out ahead of July 13th deadline, so the party could install a new nominee to challenge incumbent Republican Senator Susan Collins, who, again, is no conservative, but she does have an R next to her name. It's unclear who will replace Platner. Many party officials, however, have pointed to Troy Jackson. He's a former Maine state senator and Platner ally. Jackson, who enthusiastically backed Platner's candidacy, called for him to drop out and launched an exploratory committee to potentially replace his friend on the ballot. This all according to FEC filings. Initially, Platner reportedly resisted demands to suspend his campaign, insisting that he, not Democratic leaders, choose his successor. But in an extraordinary statement, the Maine Democratic Party on Tuesday accused the leftist campaign of trying to put their thumb on the scale. Yeah. Quote, "Unfortunately, Graham Platner's team has repeatedly reached out to us in an attempt to put their thumb on the scale of what this process looks like." This is what the Maine Democratic Party Executive Director Devon Murphy Anderson said. Quote, "We have repeatedly reiterated to Graham Platner's team that they have no role in determining our next Democratic nominee for the U.S. Senate, nor in determining what this process looks like," unquote. Well, the campaign actually pushed back. Yeah, telling NBC, quote, "While Graham wouldn't want to be a part of the process, he would want to make sure the voters and volunteers make this decision, not the political establishment, unquote. Yeah, good luck with that. Well, Platner's campaign unraveled over the 4th of July weekend following the explosive allegations of rape and sexual assault. Politico interviewed a 41-year-old Maine resident, Jenny Rekotic, I guess is how you pronounce that last name. But anyway, she accused Platner of breaking into her house in 2021, just 5 years ago, and sexually assaulting her. CNN released an interview with her who described the alleged assault as rape, and the Senate hopefully has repeatedly called allegations of non-consensual sex categorically false. So on Tuesday, another ex-girlfriend accused Platner of repeatedly removing condoms without her consent during sex, according to a report by the Washington Post, which, of course, he denied. Within hours, Platner's support among leftists and Democrats alike began to evaporate, and Schumer called on Platner to drop out, despite or describing the rape allegations as incredibly disturbing. Quote, the DSCC will not invest in the Maine Senate race if Platner remains on the ballot, is what Schumer said in a statement with fellow Senator Kristen Gillibrand. And Vermont Socialist Senator Bernie Sanders and leftist streamer Hassan Piker, who had repeatedly defended Platner through previous scandals, also joined the chorus calling for him to step aside. The Nazi tattoo infidelity and disparaging Reddit posts against women and veterans and rural voters did not appear to cross their red line, though. It was just this rape allegation now. But anyway, the Daily Wire previously actually uncovered that the Senate hopeful maintain an active account on social media platform known to attract child predators. And despite the turmoil and prediction markets still favor Democrats to win the seat against Republican Senator Susan Collins, who acknowledged that the political firestorm surrounding the race is beyond her control. Quote, these allegations are appalling, Collins said in a statement. Nevertheless, it is not up to me to choose the Democratic nominee for Senate. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. I mean, if that doesn't turn Democrat, I don't see that the Democrats have a way of getting control of the Senate. So it's a big deal for them. Obviously, all of these scandals came down. Everything's great. Okay, I mean, he can be a Nazi. He can, want to do sexual things with himself in a porta potty. He can, rape people and all this. But when his numbers go down where he's going to lose, now we got to do something about it. So anyway, it's sad. It's sad, that side of the aisle. But anyway, beyond that, though, there was a big deal, and we actually did a podcast on this on Wednesday. But there was a trial that started this week, and more never before seen footage of Tyler Robinson was shown in a Provo, Utah courtroom on Wednesday, showing the accused killer 2 days after the Charlie Kirk assassination. Robinson, who is charged with murdering Kirk, turned himself into authorities 33 hours after Kirk was fatally shot. And the video footage presented Wednesday shows Robinson being held in the Washington County Sheriff's Office in Hurricane, Utah on September 12th of last year. Now, notably, Robinson appears to be wearing the same clothing that he wore arriving on campus that morning. Kind of crazy, right? Robinson is wearing a maroon-colored T-shirt with no graphics or lettering and Converse sneakers, according to the video and testimony. Quote, never before seen footage of Tyler Robinson being held at the Washington County Sheriff's Office in Hurricane, Utah before his transfer September 12th of 2025 is, unquote, is what Gina Milan reported. Footage taken on the Utah Valley University campus from September 10th, the day that Kirk was killed, of course, shows a man believed to be Robinson wearing a maroon shirt, light colored shorts, and Converse shoes. During the hearing on Tuesday, security footage played in court appeared to show Robinson walking with the authorities, described as a limp just minutes before the shooting. The UVU prosecutors just presented this footage of Tyler Robinson arriving on campus for the third time just minutes before the shooting. Blake Neff, a producer of the Charlie Kirks show, posted it online saying, quote, "Look at how he is walking, as if something is hindering his right leg." Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not bending his knee in those videos. Reports have previously indicated that Robinson appeared to walk with a stiff right leg before the shooting, or with an unusual gait, which some have suggested would indicate that he was concealing a rifle under his clothing. Robinson is facing the death penalty for the fatal shooting of Turning Point USA founder and conservative leader Charlie Kirk. And the reporters inside the courtroom said the prosecution used surveillance footage to establish that Robinson was on campus 4 separate times on September 10th of last year. That's, of course, again, the day that Charlie Kirk was killed. Quote, "The timeline prosecutors are building is strong. Surveillance placing Robinson on campus before, during, and after the shot. Roof access, sniper position in the gravel, the screwdriver left behind, every piece fits." This is what Jack Prosbeck reported on Monday, saying defense is already grasping at procedural straws. Well, in another video played for the court, a person believed to be Robinson was seen rolling over the railing of the Losi Student Center and moving into a prone position just seconds before the shot was fired. Security footage also appeared to show a person believed to be Robinson seconds after Kirk was fatally shot, and the person was seen running along the top of the campus building before dropping down onto the grass and heading away from the campus on foot, carrying something. That was reported by the New York Times. And the hearing will determine whether prosecutors have presented enough evidence to establish probable cause for Robinson to stand trial for Kirk's assassination. So this is not the actual trial itself. In Utah, you have to present enough evidence to show that the case could go forward. There's probable evidence there, and then they will go ahead and proceed with the trial. So that's. I mean, it's a big deal. I think that. The killing of Charlie Kirk was a major event in our history. I think that there's a lot of things that have happened because of it, both good and bad. But it definitely shone a light on our society and where we are, and we'll continue to follow that one, of course. Well, this week, and maybe I should say, not to anybody's surprise, I don't know how much you know about the Smithsonian, but the Smithsonian was speaking of showing lights on. There was a big spotlight shown on the Smithsonian this week. The Smithsonian National Museum of American History pushes left-wing activism, featuring bizarre displays including chest binders, a crotch harness, the diary of a gender-confused girl. All this according to a scathing White House report that was released on Monday. The Trump administration Domestic Policy Council released a 162-page report concluding that the Smithsonian, quote, fails in the basic task of illuminating our heritage, unquote, and instead promotes woke political causes. Well, the report argues that the museum portrays the founding fathers primarily through the lens of slavery, while marginalizing their broader influence on the nation's founding. Quote, "Our central finding is not that the museum has simply added overlooked stories, corrected perceived errors, or broadened its historical scope. The report found that rather It is that museum leadership has explicitly adopted an ideological framework that no longer treats the American story as a shared national inheritance to be taught or celebrated, but as a political instrument to divide, dispirit, and discourage our citizens, unquote. Well, Thea Hartig, the director of the National Museum of American History, has previously said that she wants to use the museum to, as she put it, these are her words, advance social justice, unquote, and wanted to, again, her words, work to reframe the traditional celebratory narrative of U.S. history for visitors, unquote. Yeah, Hartig has also made derogatory statements about whiteness, claiming that she was propped up by the cushions of whiteness and the pillows of the bourgeoisie. Yeah, uh, she's the head there of the Smithsonian. So the report just highlighted past displays that included a like I said, a crotch harness accompanied by a description of clothing being used as, quote, acts of resistance as well as self-identity for the LGBTQ movement, a chest binder that belonged to a transgender identifying skateboarder, and a diary page from a young girl who wrote that she prayed, quote, every night for my penis to grow, unquote. Yeah, this is all in the Smithsonian for you to peruse if you'd like. It also cites displays suggesting it was discriminatory to keep boys who identify as girls out of female sports and videos featuring drag queens. According to the report, museum staff also pushed an anti-racist toolkit, encouraging employees to confront whiteness by making the case for inclusion. Yeah, just a bunch of woke employees, right? The report criticizes the museum's treatment of the nation's founders. This is just, you know, I mean, you think you would go to the Smithsonian for, truth and in history, but these, so many of their displays just gave a bad, put the founding fathers in a bad light, arguing that visitors will find no major exhibits dedicated to America's founding era. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, other founding fathers, the Continental Congress, the Pilgrims, the Puritans, or major movements of the American Revolution. But you can find drag queens. Quote, instead, visitors will find founders such as Benjamin Franklin, introduced chiefly through their connection to slavery, while their decisive roles in building the Republic and their anti-slavery efforts are minimized or ignored altogether, according to the report. A Smithsonian spokesman told the Daily Wire that it has served the American public with nonpartisan and independent scholarships, and we remain committed to doing so. So, yeah, Trump administration definitely going after, the Smithsonian. They get about 2/3 of their funding from the federal government. So, yeah, they're pretty much a quasi governmental agency, and I think you're going to see that funding go away unless they make some changes really soon. Well, Trump uses some dollars from the Biden administration to do some good things. Here's another good thing that the administration has been doing: a federal infrastructure program used by the Biden administration to fund bike lanes. I mean, how funny is this? Biden, known as the president who kept falling off his bike, right? Well, he had set up a program to fund bike lanes and advance equity. yeah, fund bike lanes and advance equity. I don't know how those two go together, but anyway, it was a slush fund, and now it will go towards fixing Americans' bridges, roads, and shipping ports, according to the Daily Wire. The Trump administration announced Tuesday that it would be awarding $1.73 billion in infrastructure grants through the Department of Transportation to improve roads and bridges. Under Biden, the department focused on fighting climate change, pushing DEI, and funding bike lanes. Quote, America is fortunate to have a builder in the White House who knows America is only as great as our infrastructure. That's what our Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, told the Daily Wire. And he said that's why this department is investing in repairing critical roads and bridges that connect Americans to job opportunities, port infrastructure that bolsters our national security, and aviation and transit projects that move American families. I will say, yeah, I mean, particularly when it comes to our aviation transportation, I mean, some of the stuff, some of the hardware that is being used within some of these control towers and things like this, they can't find parts for anymore. They're so old, and they have to go onto eBay and try to scalp some stuff there. Anyway, it's not good. The funding will be awarded through the better utilizing investments to leverage development or build program. He really had to come up with an acronym for that one. Around 77% of the total grant funding, $1.3 billion, will be allotted to roads and bridges along critical transportation arteries, and another 7% will go toward beefing up the nation's maritime infrastructure. The Department of Transportation released these numbers this week, and in contrast to Biden, when around 20% of funding went toward pedestrian bike lane projects, no funds will go toward bike lanes. Just 2% of the funding under Biden went toward maritime projects, according to the Department of Transportation. So yeah, that's a really good thing that we're seeing here. Really good turn. So oftentimes we find these funds have been already spent and stuff. Here's a great way to take funds that haven't been and do something really good with them. Now, during the Biden presidency, the build program was renamed Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity, or RAISE. Again, you had to get in that acronym, right? But the Trump administration changed the name back to Build. Former Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg focused on pushing DEI, shocker, and climate-related projects through that program. In November of 2021, Buttigieg declared the program would focus on equity and combating climate change. So no roads, no bridges, nothing like that. We want to try to fight the boogeyman, climate change, and the non-existent equity type of thing. Well, in 2023, the Biden administration said it wanted grant applicants to consider how their projects can address climate change, ensuring racial equity, and remove barriers to opportunity. Yeah. The same year, Buttigieg reestablished the Advisory Committee on Transportation Equity with the purpose of helping the department institutionalize equity into agency programs and policies and regulations and activities. Well, the report last year from the New York Post revealed that more than $80 billion was designated to DEI-related projects under Buttigieg's 4 years as Transportation Secretary, of which I think he stayed home for most of it, and then, nobody knew he was gone, and so he showed up and said, hey, I'm still, Transportation Secretary. Anyway, shortly after taking office, Duffy moved to implement the Trump administration's policy of eliminate DEI from government programs and policies, and he directed department officials to rescind any DEI or climate change related policies. So this is a part of what's happening with that. And again, we're seeing billions of dollars here that are able to actually, instead of going towards something dumb, it's actually being used for things that taxpayers really need, and that's good roads, good bridges, all that kind of stuff. So. Well, wanted to also hit on, of course, the big celebrity thing. In celebrity news, yes, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce wed on Friday afternoon. This is last week, of course. About we had to hit it, and they did this at Madison Square garden, putting to bed weeks of rumors with star-studded nuptials in the heart of New York City. The singer and Cassidy Chief star tied the knot in front of 1,000 guests, according to People magazine. The Blank Space singer and three-time Super Bowl champion were married by comedian Adam Sandler, with whom Kelce bonded while filming the former movie Happy Gilmore 2. Following the ceremony, they went outside the venue, displayed the message "Just and T married." So yeah. Anyway, for weeks leading up to the ceremony, rumors swirled around the lavish affair, pictures of which have yet to be released yet. But Swift's team filled permits to close the streets around the arena in the days prior to the ceremony, during which time photos showed truckloads of food and decorations being unloaded into the iconic area. What was kind of interesting, though, there was the whole team of the Kansas City Chiefs were invited to the wedding, except one. Yeah, conservative NFL kicker Harrison Butker was reportedly the only Kansas City Chief teammate denied an invitation to Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's massive New York City wedding. Now, this despite, of course, the teammates with Kelce. He's been with teammates with Kelce since 2017. Butker did not make the guest list of approximately 1,000 people, and this according to NFL sources. It's believed that every other player on the team received an invite. But Butker made journalists' heads spin 2 years ago, of course, when he praised stay-at-home mothers during a commencement speech at Kansas City's Benedictine College, which is a Catholic school. So yeah, you can't be pro mom, staying home. Can't do that and get invited to Taylor Swift and Kelce's wedding, right? Well, let's end this on kind of a funny note. I know I've said this before, but I could do a whole podcast on The View and the things that are said on The View. I mean, it's it's like shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, I could come up with story after story of the stupid things they say, but every once in a while they're just so dumb that I just have to bring them to you. So without making the whole podcast about it, we're just going to laugh out loud about it. The View co-host Sunny Hostin returned to a well-worn theme on Monday. The sight of the Stars and Stripes fills her with dread. yeah, discussing the viral image of masked patriot front marchers riding a Washington metro train alongside a black woman who sat expressionless nearby. Hostin used the moment to revive her years-old claim that Old Glory has effectively become a white supremacist emblem in parts of the country. Oh man, Hostin told viewers, quote, "There are times when I walk into a community and I see American flags all over the community and I suddenly feel unsafe because there is a section of this country that has co-opted the American flag and they equate being an American or an American flag with white supremacy." She's not the brightest bulb in the whole box, but she made sure to note that this wasn't a new position. She's held it for roughly a decade or so now. Naturally, the internet had questions, of course. Chief among them, doesn't Hostin herself live in one of the whitest, wealthiest zip codes in America? Commentators were quick to point out that her purchase, a New York neighborhood, boasts an average income around $800,000 and a population that's overwhelmingly white. The kind of demographic, of course, make up that by her own logic might warrant suspicion, right? Might make her feel unsafe. This isn't Hostin's first rodeo with flag-based monikering, fear-mongering. Back in 2021, she made similar remarks, defending the MSNBC analyst who had called American and Trump flags in Long Island disturbing. yeah. When someone of color, a black woman, is telling you her feelings, people need to listen and not, replicate it and not say, well, that can't be true. This is what Hostin said at the time. Anyway, it's just another one of those, those situations that just show how many brain cells are rattling around up there. But anyway, it's fun. It's funny. It's, when you see people come out with things like this, you just have to shake your head and put a smile on your face and chuckle, at least inside. So anyway, I'd love to hear from you on it. Of course, you can always do this at the website at uncommonsensepodcast.com. Would love to have you go to our YouTube page, like and subscribe there. And thank you for listening.
This podcast is a production of Morganite Communications.